In this presentation, we will show how we use remote sensing in the context of the current water shortages in northeast Syria and how we integrate these into other research of humanitarian conditions. As REACH, a humanitarian initiative, we're collecting and providing data of context crises to partners and are supporting evidence-based humanitarian coordination for clusters and working groups such as WASH. In our Syria mission, our main assessments related to WASH include monitoring humanitarian conditions in northern Syria on a monthly basis, conducting regular assessments of conditions in camps and market trends, as well as area-based assessments. These are complemented by our research activities in the area of remote sensing, where we use satellite imagery to derive data on drought, surface water, and groundwater. We then combine these assessments and remote sensing data to conduct integrated analysis. The water shortages in northeast Syria were mainly caused by a meteorological drought, meaning below average rainfall during the winter 2021, and by low water levels of the Euphrates River and groundwater. Additionally, the water shortages were aggravated by geopolitical factors, which included conflict-related damage and lack of access for repairs that have caused parts of the water infrastructure to shut down, as reported by OCHA, as well as by low local water management capacities. To observe drought patterns from remote sensing data, we use the Standard Precipitation Index, or in short, SPI, a drought indicator which describes the variation from the normal rainfall. Here we're looking at the 6 months SPI in northeast Syria for 2 different time periods, March to August 2020 in the top, and on the bottom March to August 2021. You can see that March to August 2020 was characterized by mainly positive SPI, displayed by the light blue pixels, indicating greater than long-term average rainfall, or in other words, wet conditions. When comparing this with the map below, we can see that 2021 was much drier, displayed by the red pixels that indicate negative SPI values, meaning rainfall was lower than long-term average rainfall, or in other words, it was drier than normal. We can also look at the entire temporal development over the last years and extract such time series for any given area. This time series chart here displays the monthly average SPI for the entire NES region from 2017 to today. We can really see that the last months from around mid-2020 have been characterized by rather dry climate compared to most of the previous months. Reoccurring droughts have the implication that they prevent groundwater from recharging. With remote sensing technologies, we're able to observe from space the changes in groundwater storage. This map here shows the difference in groundwater storage between 2021 and the average of the last 10 years. Red pixels show the largest decline, up to 7.5%, and this is especially prevalent in the north of Al-Hasakeh, while areas in gray show no or almost no change. With remote sensing, we can also monitor changes in surface water. And as REACH Syria, we do this, for instance, for reservoirs of the Euphrates, which is the single largest source of fresh water for drinking and irrigation in Syria. Here you can see the Tishreen Reservoir in the satellite image from April 2020. Comparing this image with an image from April 2021, we can actually see that the north of the reservoir dried up. By applying machine learning algorithms, we can then extract the area of the surface water for any given date and thereby quantify the changes in surface water area over time. Through difference images, we can also map where exactly surface water was lost. With this analysis, we are supporting the WASH sector so they can use it with their partners to plan their activities. How do these climatological and hydrological changes now affect the humanitarian conditions? REACH Syria monitors humanitarian conditions in northern Syria on a monthly basis for different sectors, including the health and the WASH sector. For this, we're using a key informant methodology at the community level. What we have observed throughout the last months is that the usage of the pipe network as a source for drinking water has generally decreased. Instead, water trucking and private boreholes that allow access to groundwater have become a main source for drinking water. As from these sources water is often untreated, the risk of waterborne diseases increases. This map here includes the newest data of an essential WASH indicator, drinking water quality. The red points represent communities that reported problems with the quality of drinking water in March 2022, and orange points those that reported these problems in both March 21 and 22. Remote sensing data can make an impact. However, for this to happen, it is important to understand the relationship between these remote sensing and the assessment data. So what can we do to achieve this? One example are our upcoming area-based assessments, which focus on really understanding the water resources and usage and management at a local scale. We can then complement these area-based assessment data with our remote sensing data to quantify, for example, where a river or a reservoir has dried up and how much. We are also planning to further explore remote sensing derived WASH indicators, such as water quality and water contamination. And we're planning to map past flood events, as these can, for example, lead to health and sanitation problems in camps, and triangulate those flood events with our assessment data. So this gave you an insight of the work we do in the Syria mission, but we are pursuing similar research themes across many emergency and recovery contexts in several countries. In our climate watch thread, we are gathering our findings on how climate change affects population in vulnerable contexts. Please find more information on impactinitiatives.org under news under what we do. Thank you for your attention.